Welcome to the second episode of Becoming Breathwork, the podcast. Today we are talking about range of breathwork, range of nervous system, range of the breathing practices, and we are going to explore the very individualistic approach that breathwork and yoga and all these kind of wellness healing practices nowadays in this world have. And we also are going to visit some body-based statements that we find, at least sometimes, a bit distorted, like get out of your head and back to the body. So stay tuned and listen to the whole episode. Let's roll. Katja, how are you
Yes.
today?
Hi, I'm good. I was just before hitting record, we were chatting with you, and I had the document you created with the notes. And the first sentence for today reads like range of breath work, range of the nervous system, range of resilience, meaning of life. And I was like, cool, that escalated quickly. Which it makes all the sense, obviously. And kind of to me, this is the flow of like start with range of breath work, meaning of life. Cool. So kind of mapping out some steps in between with everything that you named before. So yeah, excited.
Yes. And this is a topic that I find we both find is useful to talk first before we go further into the breath, because there are some juicy, so exciting stuff coming up. But starting with the range of breath work, because we are also, we agree that we don't like the word breath work. And for me personally, the reason often is that it is very confusing. And the work is kind of something that in all breathing practices, do we need the work? Is it work? Am I now doing the work?
Am I doing the work right?
Yes, am I doing it right? But yes, obviously there are so many different kind of approaches to breath work, breathing, and I myself, I sometimes call it embodied therapeutic breath work to kind of make some kind of difference to that. I like to lean more towards the therapeutic side of it, and the implications we will be talking about here. But I would want to maybe start by just categorizing a little bit. Let's satisfy our minds with analytical minds in categorizing the range of breath work. First of all, usually the starting point where I always also start with my clients is the functional breathing versus dysfunctional breathing. Dysfunctional breathing meaning something that the breath is not supporting the health of the body, mind, spirit system in an optimal way. That might mean that there is chronic stress, there is allostatic load, there is something that has been a bit like gone onto a not a wrong rail, but something that is not that optimal for the healthy functioning of the system. And this is very therapeutic already on so many levels, because breath is always something that allows and helps us to connect to ourselves in a deeper, more meaningful way. So therefore the range of breath work, and then we hop on to meaning of life. It's not actually that far from each other. But yeah, maybe the functional breathing, dysfunctional breathing is not the most exciting topic that we are we are going to explore here in Becoming Breathwork. So then the next level, if I may just do this mapping and then we talk more about it. The second kind of a layer or more of a area of focus theme would be the nervous system. The nervous system, the state of the nervous system changing or affecting the state of the nervous system through the breath, having more agency as well in life, because very often breath is depicted as this tool, yeah, we might not agree on that either. That is it always good to consider and use breath as a tool or a technique. But anyways, it has helped so many, me as well, to have more agency and this sense of I got this. I have some agency in my life. I can change my state. I can see things in a different way. I can calm myself down. I can even hype myself up if I want to. If I want to, I can focus more. So there is the sense of like, okay, coherence, cohering by tapping into being aware of the breath, but also modulating the breath. And then we come to the realm of transcendence or transpersonal breathwork or approach or modality that is then, at least at the moment, not so evidence based. It is more in this psychophysiological, emotional, spiritual, transcendental, transpersonal, meaning that we are kind of expanding our sense of self or the sense of self. So this would kind of be the very broad range of breathwork and ways of using the breath again. Using the breath,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
what we see. Yes. And all this, the whole range can help us, can assist us in improving, increasing, expanding our range of resilience, our capacity to handle life, our capacity to be present, our capacity to be there for our loved ones and being in a healthy relationship with ourselves, but of course other people as well, and with the life. And now let's talk about I would really want to hear what what are your thoughts on this. I kind of like always when I come to this point, I'm like, okay, now let's turn it upside down. Let's not start with the tool, with the technique, with what breath can do to us, but let's start with, or what we can do to the breath, how we can kind of modulate it, but let's turn it upside down. But first, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that usually when I introduce you to people or I speak about you to people, the first phrase that I always say is like, you are the best breath worker I know. And then I go into like, but like, are you? You know? Because you are the best, like most complete in a way, like in a way how you look at breath specifically is the your view on this is the most complete for me that I know of, like from even like all the biggest names in the breathwork world. So thank you. And then what I'm curious about, I want to talk a little bit more about the functional dysfunctional,
Mm,
because I like in my work, which is like the majority of my work is not necessarily breath, like directly breath related, but of course it is included. So how I never kind of see patterns as functional and dysfunctional, because there is always function in dysfunction, what we would categorize as dysfunction, and kind of the way how we look at things to categorize regulation, dysregulation, function, dysfunction is a kind of a, in a way, psychologized way of looking at the body, which again categorizes into two categories. It brings us like, it's this or that. And then it becomes a little bit like, oh, if I'm not here, then I'm not doing it right. Like it's bad.
mm,
As the psychologized way of looking at the body or anything really, kind of the way how we try to understand the body and the world and the universe and the cosmos is becoming like, is this or that. And this is something I don't necessarily like doing with bodies, because
mm,
bodies live beyond categories. Breath lives like the actual living, breathing breath, the actual the animating force of breath lives beyond any category to me.
Hmm.
And then I'm curious also about your view on specifically, like if there's any distortion, yeah, what we would categorize as a dysfunctional breath pattern.
Hmm.
There's some kind of distortion in the whole system, and a way of working with it, like one way is a fixing way. Like,
Hmm.
let's fix this thing. Like, let's apply all the tools, let's do all the exercises, let's fix it, fix it, fix it, and we kind of go and poke at it until it hurts more, probably.
Hmm.
Another way of working with it, it would be included into the whole system again, because we cannot remove something from the whole system by denying it its place.
Hmm.
And then working the way how I approach, and again, my like usual everyday work is more around working with fields. And so how I would approach a distortion in a field is to kind of dive into it more
Hmm.
and look for a portal there.
Hmm.
So here's like a very abstract
Yeah.
idea. Go.
Okay, I have three thoughts, and
Yeah.
if I forget some of these, we will come back to them later.
Yes.
But first, starting with the fixing, I never start with the idea of, okay, we will fix this, or okay, there are these, because usually if someone comes to me with I struggle with my breathing, so there would be kind of this perception of dysfunctional breathing without
Mm-hmm.
first there like I haven't done any measurements, I haven't done any tests, so there's the perception of dysfunctional breathing. um okay, I might do some assessments, I might do some tests, but usually we never start to correct things first. We are looking
Exactly.
first
Yes.
the the good stuff, moving from life rather than moving from the, okay, we are now fixing this, let's do this technical thing, let's do
Mm-hmm.
this mechanical twist in your breathing, let's breathe in this way, let's breathe in that way. But for first trying to, what I really, and this is the, this is absolute oh, my favorite part of therapeutic breath coaching that I do, is to allow the healthy, natural, flowing breathing pattern to emerge on its own so that the client gets a sense of the health and the perception starts to alter. So there might
Exactly.
still be, because dysfunctional breathing is usually, this is also very not well understood, is context dependent. It is dependent on the thing that someone does, or the situation that someone is, or the person that someone meets, and that get conditioned into the system. But there is always health available. And usually in this like therapeutic setting or the breath coaching setting, we might find it just by lying down on the floor, me guiding some things with the voice, not technical things, but just like settling into the natural flowing breathing pattern. And
Can I
usually
add
this,
something to this as well?
yes,
Yeah. There's like the way, again, how I, from a different perspective, a little bit, like we orient to a wave of health first. We find it somewhere. Doesn't even have to be in the body. For me, it's like, I don't care where. It can be somewhere like far away in a different galaxy, but there is so much health that is happening all the time and moving all the time. And then
mm,
orienting to that, and exactly what you said, like this already alters the perception.
yeah,
And I know also a lot of people also at some point, I would say, due to doing like a lot of breath work,
mm,
gonna find themselves in disconnect from the authentic breathing.
yes.
And so when we invite someone to like just allow for natural breath to meet the system where the system is at, it's like, what? Like, how do you do this? But how do, like, what exactly do I do then?
Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah,
the question. And that's why we briefly mentioned, or I briefly mentioned, that am I breathing right? Because this is the most absurd setting to be asking, am I breathing right? I mean, of course it's a valid question. I'm not like trying to like no, don't ask it. Because
Never ask us this.
when the body breathes on its own, there is no right or wrong. There
Yeah.
is just how the breath meets, like, because breath is always kind of it is it is in some way the most hypervigilant system in the body, the respiratory system, because it responds to everything and it's all the time like listening and like, okay, what is happening? So where it kind of lands and where it meets you, that's the way it wants to breathe. And there is so much information in this natural breathing already. And for me, the most, like, I would say the most insightful moment in my own journey has been when, after years and years of doing pranayama practices, quite intense breathing practices, breath work, I, and also yoga, where breath is quite often altered, modulated, I allowed my breath to be as it is. And it was horrible because, because I had to meet this really deep felt sense of like, I'm not in control. Like I need to be with this. And the breath was fast and it was rapid and it was, let's say, shallow, upper chest, like all these things that we often label as dysfunctional. And I knew that I needed to be with that, because otherwise I could never find my way back to like the natural and the flowing and the kind of the healthy everyday breathing pattern. If I was trying to cover too much, like do too much, control too much. And this, okay, I have 2 points left that I will continue, mention briefly, but I want to continue this. This to me is very therapeutic work. Just the fact that what our um, our journey back to the natural breath can show us is one of the most, I don't know, complete, holistic
Mhm.
journeys that we can enter. Um, but yes, I come back to the dysfunctional and functional. So obviously after this, like, okay, we're not fixing anything. Let's see what is there. What is
Mhm.
there? What is there when we just are? And of course, like, enough, or like stability, so that it's not like, oh, just be wherever you are, or just come back to your body. Like, this is not the way that I
No.
like to work, because quite often, especially in when there is some kind of discomfort in the breath, there is also discomfort in the felt sense in general. It might be
Yeah, for
very
sure. Yeah.
challenging to just be in the body. And
But like we can have a whole other episode on this. What does it even mean to be in your body? And are you ever not in your body? Like
yeah,
yeah. Okay, next time
yeah,
at some point.
yes. But okay, so there are some parameters for dysfunctional breathing, and usually I do breath testing, assessment, the respiratory rate, the carbon dioxide levels. Listening to the breath is the best way of listening to the biomechanics, not observing, not looking, not kind of like, okay, what is happening there and what is happening in this muscle, but listening. And when I listen to the breath, I listen eyes closed, because that's when I get this I get an embodied sense of what is happening in someone's breath, which is super beautiful.
Say when you say listening, and if people are not watching to this, but you're like opening up your hands,
Yes.
can you say a little bit more about this? Because if people only listen to this episode, if you're not watching on YouTube, like you cannot see the gesture, which is
No.
also a very, very, like the way how you show your hands is a very archetypal gesture, which again, we can have like a whole other
Yeah.
conversation about this. So when you
Yeah.
say I listen to the breath and you show your hands
Mhm.
like this,
Yeah.
what do you mean?
So first of all, credits to Rosalba Courtney, my mentor, integrative breathing therapy practitioner, teacher, educator. So of course you can listen to the breath in many different ways. I use my hands on the backside. This is a manual assessment of respiratory motion. If you want to give it a name. But I put my hands on clients' back. My hands are kind of like wings.
Mhm.
My thumbs along the spine, and then the fingers spread to the back. And the pinky finger and also the ring finger might be below the rib cage. So that's kind of the level. We're listening to the diaphragm. And then usually, even if there is a chance, my elbows are touching my body so that I have a very stable
Mhm.
um, touch. And my arms are kind of antennas here so that I can have this like umbilical cord to someone's back, which is, I mean, it's amazing because
Mhm.
there is the connection as well. Of course, always asking permission, informing the client about what is going to happen, and then we just are. I just listen.
We just are. It's like casual, no big deal. But this is also a moment,
Mm.
like a point, where yours and my work meet, like the meeting point of subtle perception. And exactly what you said, like my arms become antennas, and we just are, and I listen. And there's
Yeah.
like so much, and also on the receiving side, remember when you did this to me, I was like, oh yes, like it feels so good just it's not even like an active leaning, like an act of doing, but this like very gentle kind of hand to back support connection. And
Mm.
it just felt like, like the whole system can just like, exhale. And yeah, it kind of, again, to me, like understanding things from like the field perspective, right? And subtle
Mm.
perception is like we coming now into a relational field where the listening happens in between and the exchange happens between two bodies and two systems, and they become one system.
Yes, exactly. Ooh, I get goosebumps.
Right? It's so good.
Yeah.
Which spoiler alert, we will definitely be doing in Portugal in May 2026. Come join us.
Definitely.
Continue.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, after the listening, which is the most important thing, like nothing really happening, no doing, no performing, ideally, which again tells a lot it informs a lot about the relationship with the breath that the client has. Because the mere being in the breath can be very, very challenging. And
Mm-hmm.
it is that for me as well. Being witnessed in my breath in front of someone is a
Yes.
very intimate thing,
The
especially
most, like one of the most.
yes, especially when and if we have, quite often we have these thoughts like, okay, I should be breathing slower or I should be
Mm-hmm.
breathing like this. And I'm a practitioner. I have,
I should know better.
why am I so, all
Yeah.
these things that happen. Um, but yeah, I after the listening, I also add some challenge testing due
Mm.
to because of usually any breathing difficulty, challenge, dysfunction, discomfort happens in a challenge. Or when like it needs some context. Usually the most safest therapeutic space is not the space where we necessarily, especially in the beginning, when someone is able to like the whole body exhale and like eh, eh, they don't necessarily show any signs of dysfunction. But yeah, so after this, like what did I say? The breathe, like the frequency of the breath, carbon dioxide levels, listening to the breath, the biomechanical aspect, and also assessing a little bit the the ability to breathe through the nose. So these four kind of a main
Mm-hmm.
categories. Usually after that, or this is something that I've been assessing all the time, is the perception of the breath. Because I started from this and I now come back to that. Because quite often when we observe the breath from the outside in the setting, like this kind of setting where someone is lying down, for example, on the floor, and you're guiding something, the breath looks perfect. It's like you don't have any dysfunction. You
Yeah.
can say like, oh, there's no dysfunction, but the perception, the
Yeah.
experience of the breath is then the much more interesting and leading thing, because so many of us, like, when we lie down on the floor, oh, I'm breathing shallowly. Oh, I'm like, what is even shallow breathing? Like,
Exactly.
there is no shallow breathing, actually. It doesn't exist. There is just like if you use your like the upper chest muscles, accessory breathing muscles too much, which happens due to stress
Mm-hmm.
and like when we move and so on. But the lungs are all the time working. I mean, there are more optimal ways of using the respiratory musculature, kind of like breathing low in the body. But yes, coming back to someone is lying down on the floor, and usually if the belly, there's enough softness in the belly, the breath is low in the body, and it looks perfect. Like, okay, you
Mm-hmm.
don't have any dysfunction. How do you feel? Oh, I breathe like this, and I don't get it down, and I don't feel
Mm-hmm.
anything. Like, there are so many different things that start to happen and start to come up. And here I find that it's so important. Again, like trying to draw a full circle, so important not to go into the fixing mode,
Mm-hmm.
because we can never fix perception from the outside. We can never put a thought like, well, when you inhale, the belly and then the sides of the body and the backside are expanding, and when you exhale, the mechanistic thing can never fix perception. It can never heal the connection or the
Mm-hmm.
relationship. We need we need to include and incorporate a much wider view and field. And now I'm doing with my hands this kind of journey.
The spiralic movement.
Exactly, because this is how this is how the process kind of
Mm-hmm.
unfolds. Mm.
Yeah, I think I have a very good example of exactly like for this because I used to have panic attacks with a lot of hyperventilation, like only inhale, like an inability to exhale. I haven't had one for some years now, which is also my whole kind of system is wired for anxiety. Anxiety is my default. Flight, if we're talking like nervous system, flight is my default. Like I'm out of here at any point. Like done, bye, I'm out of here. And so yeah, this panic attack is kind of a buildup of this flight energy, right? And there's like a very in my experience there was a very specific movement direction, there was a very specific breath direction, breath experience, movement, like energetic movement direction of like flight, like I must go. Yeah, there was like a very sharp build up. And because I was like, I'm talking like back when I was working in corporate and suppressing all the things I could suppress for the longest time, right?
Mm.
There was suppression, and a build up, and then it needed to come out. And then I would pathologize the heck out of it, right?
Mm.
Like calming breath exercises, like, oh, no, I need to exhale. But obviously, it doesn't work when you're in it, right? And
Mm.
there's only inhale available, and and it only builds up. There was no availability for me to like fix it.
Mm. Mm.
And so once in a while, and I said, like, it hasn't happened for some years now, but once in a while, I still feel like still flight is my default. Like it never will go anywhere. It's like, this my physiology, period. Right.
Mm.
And so once in a while, I would feel like there's some kind of buildup of this, and it expresses itself in a like relatively subtle way through my breath. And I
Mm.
noticed something that, yeah, we could categorize as hyperventilation.
Mm.
And there's like kind of faster breathing, kind of a lot of activity in my upper chest. And I was like, okay. So what is happening? And then instead of pathologizing it or trying to fix it through slower breathing or deeper breathing or whatever exercises, I kind
Mm.
of let it happen. And even sometimes because I know my body well enough, I can
Mm.
allow for this to be amplified a little bit more, even
Mm.
allow for the flight to happen on purpose and like really kind of invoke the flight happening even more.
Mm.
And it's just like it completes itself
Yes.
in some minutes.
Mm.
There
Mm.
is no need to, yeah, right, to be fixing it all the time
Yeah.
because the movement can happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
to me, I would like, again, back some years ago, I would categorize it as dysfunction.
Mm,
because
mm,
like you're not supposed to have panic attacks and you're also not supposed to hyperventilate, but
mm, mm.
now it's like, yeah, of course, because there is a build up and a very natural movement and it needs to move somehow.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a perfect example of completing the cycle in a natural way rather than trying to fix it, because we can have strategies and we can have things that help us in a moment where we really need that. We can have the kind of the fixing strategies as well,
Mm-hmm.
but mostly how I teach and what is kind of the approach to the breathing coaching and breathing therapy especially is work that kind of um, is preventive in a way that we are supporting the optimal functioning of the system
Mm-hmm.
much, much more than, okay, what breathing practice do I need when I cannot sleep? What
Yes.
breathing practice do I need when I'm highly stressed? Well, when you're highly stressed, I'm sorry, change your lifestyle. I mean,
Yeah.
you I yesterday
Exactly.
when I was walking, I'm like, I'm such a bad breath because I sometimes have these urges to say to people, to my clients, not maybe my clients, but if I generally talk about or hear these questions, like what should I do for what is the best breathing practice for stress? Like, well, any because
Yeah.
you can get relief from so many
Yeah.
different things,
Yeah.
but relief is very different thing than allowing the cycle to be completed, and also look at the whole, like, see the big picture, see the whole life, see yourself in it, because we so often approach the breathing practices and breathwork as I what I started with, from this like very individualistic personal perspective. Like, I need to heal myself. Okay, now I'm taking responsibility for my own well-being. Let me do some stuff that help me and support my
Mm-hmm.
well-being. This agency, it is crucial, but it doesn't take you like very far if you approach it from the let me fix myself, because it only will ever perpetuate the alone path that, okay, we are here alone. I'm going to work with my system from this like outside in. Just give me practice, just give me something. I will take it, I will practice it, I will be better. Very linear, very transactional, very technique based, kind of outside in, rather than really meeting yourself in the shitstorm.
Yeah.
that,
Which
that
could be like the most overwhelming and like the most scary thing in the beginning.
exactly. Yeah. Okay. Well, I really love our conversation. Should we come to what we
Conclusion, a
promised?
completion, a
Okay.
completion.
um. So we have talked about fixing, and we have talked a little bit about functional versus dysfunctional, the range of breath work. Briefly mentioned that the range of breathing, or these practices and this multi-layered,
But
multi-dimensional.
but didn't get to the meaning of life
We
yet.
didn't get to the deep like shit.
Next time. Cliffhanger, right? Cliffhanger. Next
Yeah.
time. Meaning of life.
And also we touched upon once more the very me-centered, individualistic worldview that, in my opinion, unfortunately, we still live through every day. And the breathwork scene and breathwork, industry, whatever we want to call it, is also perpetuating, and are making people somehow think that these are solutions for everyone. And I also very often hear like someone say like, I don't like breath work, but I think I should
Mm-hmm.
do it. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, ooh, are you sure?
Yeah.
And I thought I say this with a very loving tone. I don't I don't feel or think that breath work is for everyone, but breathing is for everyone because you are breathing. So there is so much to explore and um, discover there. But do you have any last words about the individualistic world that we live in, or the
I
breath
feel like
work,
it could be
reach your
like a
breath?
whole I feel like it could be like a whole episode. I would say cliffhanger, stay tuned. Coming up is meaning of life and the difference, yeah, difference and differentiation between like me, and very psychologized way of being in a relationship with your body and breath, and more alive, like
Yeah,
more actual human, alive, animate way of being in relationship.
yeah, exactly. And for me, this is an answer to the myth that we kind of debunked but didn't explain. Get out of your head, into the body, because we are fluid systems. We are in motion all the time. The body is not a static place.
Mm-hmm.
Body awareness is not it's not static. It's not something that we should be hyper aware of, hyper focused on, somehow labeling the thoughts as bad or not needed, or
Ah,
so. Yeah, I think that the whole healing industry is very dogmatic.
it is, and
Um,
very rigid. Also,
yes.
like the language we use. Yeah, you were talking, I was thinking, like, this is why I don't use the word homeostasis,
Mm.
because there is no stasis.
Yeah.
There is homeodynamics, is always a dynamic system.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then we create the languaging and the medical language and therapeutic language, psychology language. It creates a very rigid structure, like homeostasis. You should
Mhm.
have this experience of balance. And then when you are not having it, because it like in nature, it does not exist, but
Mm.
then you are expected to have it anyway and feel it and live it every day, 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Like, of course, you're going to fail. And of
Mm.
course, you're going to feel like you fail. Of course, you're going to feel like you're not doing it right.
Mm. Mm. Yes.
And so
And
there's
this is
also for me, yeah, is a lot of changing the languaging around how you speak to and about your body and breath.
yes, and this is the upside down movement, or the kind of like what I really I
Mm-hmm.
show it always with my
Yeah.
hand. That's like flipping
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
There is so much potential, unlimited potential in the breath. Even in the natural breath can be the most healing force there is.
Yes.
And how much of that do we suppress? Yes, we suppress with through
Mm-hmm.
practices that we think are good for us. And doesn't mean that okay, don't do them then at all. But maybe by the side of a practice or a strategy, try bring a little bit more spend time beingness into the
Mm-hmm.
being in the breath, and see what comes from there. And that's maybe something that I want to conclude today's episode, and that's something that we will be for sure
Yeah.
elaborating, continuing with. Hmm. Thank you, Katja, for today. We'll
Thank
be
you.
back.
The end.
The end. Bye bye.
Bye.